So in a previous video, we did an inspection on the roof of a 2005 Beaver Monterey. I pointed out a few problems with it, and after talking to the owner, we agreed we should probably fix those items. So here's a quick video I put together of the repairs on the roof. Remember, the awning rails need to be sealed. The fantastic vent in the bathroom seemed like it was falling out. Satellite dish and solar wiring through the roof looked bad. And even the other fantastic vent and the skylight had a little bit of cracking on it. And I thought we just covered to see how I fixed those things and what I thought about it on this 2005 Monterey from Beaver. Yeesh. That was just a bent piece of aluminum. Yeah, definitely be getting dirty in there. Luckily, no water, it looks like. Okay, it does look like water was getting in here too. Well, I don't know why they put that one out there if they're not using it, so we'll just go ahead and tuck that back in there. And so I did have questions about whether they sealed those off or not when they did those screws. It looks like they were sealed, but that's why I pulled those off. I'll just reseal it, put it back down again, and put a new plate on here, just like I'm going to put over there. Now remember, I'm only going to reseal this even though it's cracked, not because I'm lazy, but because the Dicor on top is just to redirect water away from the joint. It's the liquid flashing. The joint itself is secured, so the main seal underneath is actually still intact. We're just going to seal over the top of it to keep water from being able to get stuck in the joint right there. If I were to peel all this up and clean it, yeah, I'm going to do that. Dang it. I hate to be lazy on video like this, but if I do reseal over the top of this, because of the way this was sealed before, instead of using maybe 3 or 4 tubes of Dicor, it's probably going to take about 5 or 6, and it'll be really wide and gross looking. Whereas even though I'm going to reseal that, because that'll be fine, that'll be about 2 tubes of sealant. If somebody were to just reseal right here, you can see where I just got off the extra stuff. There's actually a pretty good gap underneath the flange right there. So the whole thing's honestly very loose. Right, so if we take this down in the bathroom here, look, there's that fiberglass gel coat roof right there. But this is the framing that it's supposed to be mounted to. And you can see the roof is loose because it's not secured all the way around to the framing. So this is the aluminum framing that's in the roof. You can see, right, let me see. I don't know, can you guys see anything? There's a hole right there where hardware used to be, and I think the owner said that these were recently replaced. So when they got replaced, so you can see they didn't remove the broken hardware, so it spaced the vent and roof away from the frame. That's why you do want to walk on it. So when you walk on it, you'll see the whole thing move. So that's why I do recommend we take this back off again. Then secure the vent and the roof to the framing like it's supposed to be. So the only correct way of doing this is to pull the entire vent off, get rid of all the broken hardware, and then hopefully put the vent back down again correctly. Whereas on this one, I figured I might as well clean it off. I added some screws at the corners right there, reduce any sort of flexing, and then we'll just seal over the top. You can actually still see the gray butyl oozing out. It's still fairly intact. These screws are like crooked. And they weren't secured to anything. Yeah. I mean, look at that. I can put my screw gun underneath. That's how loose that vent was. It's been like this for a while. Right, the last screw in there. Like, that screw head's basically 90 degrees. I can't even get it to it. Man, they got lucky. Maybe this was stored indoors. But, yeah. No signs of water intrusion. You can see that screw still sticking through. Really quite lucky. Very lucky. Alright, so we have the gap right there. It's nice and tight over here. And over there, there's a screw that's sticking and pushing up against the frame right there, keeping this roof from actually being able to suck down tight. First things first is clean up all the old sealant. Oops. Alright, so I just took out the screws down there. That way I can actually lift this to come in contact with the roof now. Now when I screw it down back into there, it'll actually be securing the roof down. So let me just go ahead and drill a hole right there. Right there, right there, and right there. Basically where no holes on the vent are going to be. And now I can secure the roof to this aluminum bracket. Look at that, that's a little bit better. Now I can secure this into the wood frame. Just like that. I'll put a few more screws to secure the fiberglass to this metal framing, and then when I put the screws back in from here, I will actually pre-drill the fiberglass, because I don't want the screws that are securing the vent to grab the fiberglass. I want it to grab the metal underneath. So yeah, this basically was pretty bad all the way around. I hear you guys saying that. Don't worry. I am countersinking so that these screw heads will be flush. Not interfere with the sealant on the flange there. Would you believe it? I'm even using butyl tape in the heat. It's still working. It's pretty sticky. That's why I can't wear gloves. Ooh, look at that oozing now. Hey, no gap right there to get my bit under. Alright, just have to seal it up now after I put the last screws in. Alright, we'll just do this cap seal right here very effortlessly. Alright, and we're just using clear silicone as, again, a cap seal or flashing to help redirect water away from the gap there. And we're using clear because this is a painted rail and we don't want to make a big mess. We don't want to use self-leveling because it'll just create a big mess. And you could use some Proflex clear or Lexel sealant. It's a lot harder to work with. It makes a bigger mess than silicone. The good news is, because I took everything apart, it doesn't take nearly as much sealant to seal up this vent. That is to say, I used less sealant on this vent than I did on this vent that I just resealed, because you have to go so much wider and taller just to make sure you cap everything off correctly. So that's done. I added a whole bunch of sealing in between those two so the water doesn't get stuck in there. Replaced the screws on that satellite dish. Replaced the cable entry plate. We did a much better job on this using the CE 1000 from Winegard, so there's not a hole in the roof there anymore. Just resealed that cracked sealant right there. And I think the last thing that I had to do that we did notice, oh wait, that's not true. We did the skylight that I peeled and resealed. I didn't just seal over the top of that. Saved at least 4 tubes easily. And then on top of all of the awning rails right there, I did add that cap of clear silicone. And ultimately, my roof is very similar to this roof. It doesn't Monaco roof yet. You can tell mostly by the molding on the side. And so hopefully, with all this done, this 2005 Beaver Monterey will survive another 10 years and prove how well these generations of Beaver motorhomes were built, and everybody at the parks can still be jealous of some of the best RVs ever made. And if we've proved anything, as long as you maintain a high quality RV, it will last the test of time, because they were built with a lot more pride. I'm sorry to say, the modern stuff really isn't built this well anymore. And that's why I really do believe this era Oregon motor coach is probably going to be heavily sought after in the years and decades to come. Provided they were well maintained. You got to maintain them. That was exhausting. Bye. This 2001 Beaver Monterey is going to last at least another. And if I've proved anything, as long as you keep track of and if we've proved anything, as long as you keep